What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another news video. Sadly, it's the day all wrestling fans dread, the day WWE makes mass cuts to their own roster. Today, there have been a total of 10 releases, and all of them come from the NXT brand. There are actually some surprising names that have been given the chop by WWE, and these include a former title holder. Well, which ones are they? Well, join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 WWE releases today and examine the real reason why WWE has decided to fire them all. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now, just before the releases even took place, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com tweeted, "NXT releases are coming." And the first name that was announced to have been released was Malcolm Bivins. Bivins has been in a managerial role in the Diamond Mine for some time now, and his release comes as quite a huge surprise. Bivins was extremely popular with fans, and he appeared to have a close connection with the other superstars in the locker room. Sean Ross Sapp offered some insight into why Bivins had been released. He tweeted, "Fightful has learned that Malcolm Bivins has been released by WWE. The company had asked him to re-sign in February, and he made it clear that he didn't want to do so. So at least we can't even blame WWE on this side, as it looks like the decision was mainly down to Bivins wanting to part ways with the company. According to Fightful Select, Bivins only re-signed his last WWE contract when he was promised television time. This was when WWE created the Diamond Mine, but this has done very little to satisfy him, and he's made it abundantly clear that he would not be convinced into re-signing this time around. Now, it was said that the team behind WWE's digital content were in favour of giving Bivins more television time. He has a humorous yet engaging social media presence, but this side of Bivins doesn't truly come across on television. Now, it's understandable why Bivins has been frustrated, as he has so much to offer, but his television time is kept extremely limited. And then again, half of the talent behind the scenes would always love some more television time. But Bivins has a bright future ahead of him, and someone of his stature would be a great fit in AEW or even Impact Wrestling. Now, to be honest, without a doubt, the most shocking name to be released today was Dakota Kai. Dakota was one of the top female stars in NXT, and fans had assumed that she was destined for the main roster. She even took part in a number of main roster dark matches, where she actually managed to defeat Aaliyah and Cora Jade, but she also got defeated by the likes of Xia Li and Amari Miller. With those losses, it was clear that they did very little to impress WWE higher-ups. Dakota had an extremely successful run in NXT, as she was one half of the inaugural NXT Women's Tag Team Champions alongside Raquel Gonzalez, who's actually now made it to the main roster and was consistently featured on television in meaningful storylines. Her departure is going to hit NXT hard, and fans of Dakota have taken to social media to question WWE's decision making and ask what the hell WWE were thinking in releasing one of the most promising stars. Shayna Baszler took to Twitter and said, "Dakota Kai is far and away one of the best wrestlers I've ever been in the ring with, and the gap is large. Now watch it grow." Beth Phoenix even commented on Twitter saying, "Dakota Kai is a leader and an outstanding talent, one of my favourite women wrestlers and a lovely human being." Shazza McKenzie even tweeted, "Imagine not having anything for Dakota Kai. Baffling." Yeah, it is baffling. Now, according to an exclusive report by Fightful Select, Dakota was said to have seen the release coming, and she had no plans to renew her WWE contract once it expired. This is an interesting revelation from Fightful, as it's clear that Dakota saw the writing on the wall and was clearly dissatisfied with how she was being booked on NXT. Interestingly, she won the NXT Women's title with Raquel once again just a few weeks ago, so it appears as if WWE were trying to appease her, but this had little to no effect. Was Dakota's aim to be called up to the main roster? After all, that is where the big money is, and she couldn't stay in NXT forever. Now, more details will likely come out in relation to her situation and what actually led to her having no plans to re-sign a new WWE contract. Now, there will naturally be a ton of interest from various companies in signing Dakota, as fans have already begun to suggest on social media that Tony Khan signs Dakota to a deal, and this would be a smart move on behalf of the AEW president. Dakota would be a great fit in the AEW women's division, and someone with her skill set could really elevate the division to new heights. Now, it's important to note that all the released talent from today have a 30-day non-compete clause, so in theory, Dakota could be on AEW programming by the end of May. Another big name was Dexter Loomis. Loomis' storyline with Indy Hartwell on NXT was definitely well received and did huge numbers for WWE on social media and YouTube. It appears as if Loomis was in the shuffle after the storyline began to fizzle out. Fans quickly lost interest in him. That's kind of a pity that WWE didn't go back to the drawing board with him and come up with a new and exciting storyline for him. It seems like such a shame to release someone who did exceptionally well with such an unorthodox romantic storyline with Indy Hartwell and just suddenly release him. Now, before he stepped foot in NXT, he had an infamous run in TNA as Samuel Shaw, so it's certainly possible that Loomis will find his way back to his former promotion. Another big name includes the likes of Harlan. Harlan was featured on NXT television alongside Joe Gacy, but clearly WWE didn't see too much equity in keeping him on the roster. Now, at one stage, Harlan was compared to a young Brock Lesnar due to their similarities in appearance. But once the WWE decided to have Harlan shave his head, these comparisons quickly went away. Still, his booking was strong, much like Lesnar back in the day, but the report from Fightful Select added that WWE officials were unimpressed with how little Harlan had progressed in the ring and therefore decided to release him from his contract. A number of other talents have been released today that never even made their television debuts. These include Paige Principali, Vish Kanya, Draco Anthony, Raylan Devine, Sanjana George, and Mila Milani. The final name released today though was Persia Perota, who signed with WWE just last year and notably had a small storyline with Indy Hartwell on NXT TV. Now, according to Fightful Select, all of these releases mainly come down to budget cuts. Nevertheless, the report adds that most of the release stars seem in good spirits. Fightful Select also reports that they've spoken to an NXT official who has cited frustration coming from their releases. It is said that the staff at NXT received no prior notice of the releases happening, and consequently this has created problems in the creative department. A number of release stars were penciled in for current and future storylines, and this has now meant that the NXT creative team have to amend any plans they had to include the release stars on television. Seriously, the guy who's probably creating the roster for WWE 2K23 is probably pulling his hair out right now. The WWE has a habit of making mass budget cuts around this time of the year, normally just after WrestleMania, as they did so with WrestleMania 36 and 37. Releases are always bad for the locker room morale, especially when WWE is releasing talents such as Dakota Kai and Malcolm Bivins. WWE released more superstars than ever in 2021, and there were numerous reports that the locker room morale dipped whenever a new batch of releases hit. And the morale of the locker room impacts everything, from how WWE superstars perform in the ring to how they promote the product in interviews with media outlets. WWE have to be extremely careful in executing budget cuts around this time of year, as a miserable talent roster could be insanely damaging to their own product. There is no news on whether WWE plans to make any cuts to talent on the main roster, but if they do, we will certainly keep you posted. We at Wrestlelamia wish all the best to the released WWE superstars. Which one are you most shocked about? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.